Have you ever noticed how the noise of life slowly fades over time? At first, the house is full with kids laughing, phones ringing, neighbors dropping by, birthdays to plan, holidays to host. But then, one day, it's just you. You're still in the same house, sitting at the same table, but everything feels a little too still. Too quiet. It's not something anyone really prepares us for, is it? People talk about retirement, health changes, maybe downsizing, but no one really talks about what it feels like when everyone you used to take care of is gone. When the people you used to call every day are no longer around to answer. When you're not needed the same way you once were. It sneaks up, this kind of loneliness. You don't even realize it's happening at first. You just start skipping meals because cooking for one feels pointless. You don't go out as much, because honestly, who would you even call? And before long, the days start to blur together, and it gets harder to remember the last time someone really asked how you were doing, and truly wanted to hear the answer. If that sounds familiar, you're not the only one. This experience, growing older without a partner, without kids nearby, without that daily connection, is far more common than people realize. And yet, so few talk about it openly. That's exactly why we're making this video. Here on Natural Healing Hub, we believe later life isn't the end of the road. It's a chapter with its own unique meaning, lessons, and even beauty. But that doesn't mean it's always easy. Especially when you feel like you're going through it alone. Today, we're going to talk about what really happens when you reach a stage in life where no one seems to be left by your side. We'll talk about why this happens, what it does to your mental and emotional well-being, and most importantly, what you can do to take back a sense of connection and purpose. You'll hear a real story, Mark's story. He's just one of many who found himself completely alone in his 60s. His kids moved away. His wife passed unexpectedly. And suddenly, everything he thought he'd be doing in retirement just vanished. But his story didn't end there. And neither does yours. This isn't about pretending things are easy. This is about being real and finding ways to keep living, truly living, even when life has taken people and pieces you never thought you'd have to let go of. So if you've ever sat in your kitchen at 6 p.m., staring at a plate you didn't bother to warm up. If you've ever wondered, is this really it now? If you've ever felt invisible in a world that just keeps moving. Stay with us. This conversation is for you. And hey, if this speaks to your heart, take a second to hit the subscribe button. Not just for this video, but because here at Natural Healing Hub, we're building a space where older adults can feel heard, supported, and empowered to keep growing. You're not alone. And your story still matters, more than you know. 1. Understanding the psychological cost of loneliness. Let's be honest, no one teaches us how to face life when it gets this quiet. We plan for retirement savings, we think about healthcare, maybe even where we want to live, but nobody prepares us for waking up to a house that doesn't echo with anyone else's voice. That's the real weight of loneliness. It's not just the silence itself, it's what that silence means. And the truth is, this kind of deep, persistent loneliness doesn't just hurt emotionally. It has real consequences. Studies show that it raises your risk for serious health problems, heart disease, dementia, high blood pressure. One study even said that being chronically lonely is as dangerous as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. Can you believe that? But what really breaks my heart is how subtle it all starts. It might be skipping Sunday dinner with friends because it feels easier to stay home. Or telling your kids you're fine when you're not, because you don't want to bother them. Or maybe it's scrolling through your phone, realizing no one has called in days, and not really knowing who you'd even call first. This is where people, like Mark, find themselves. And maybe where you are right now. Mark's story hit hard. He spent his whole adult life building a family, being a provider, being present. But after his wife passed, and the kids got busy with their own lives, he found himself waking up with no real reason to get out of bed. He wasn't just alone, he felt forgotten. And that's a feeling no one should have to carry. But here's the thing, loneliness may be part of your story, but it doesn't have to be the ending. Rediscovering meaning doesn't always happen in big, dramatic ways. Sometimes, it starts with small steps, like joining a community group, volunteering at the local library, or even just striking up a conversation with someone you see often at the coffee shop. Sometimes it means revisiting old passions you left behind, painting, gardening, music, writing. Other times, it's about letting yourself be seen again. Letting people in, even if it feels vulnerable. And I know, it's easier said than done. Reaching out takes courage, especially when you've spent years feeling like people stopped reaching out to you. But your life still matters. Your presence still matters. And even if it's quiet right now, there's still room for purpose, connection, even joy. So let me ask you something from the heart. Have you ever gone through a time in your life when you felt truly alone? What helped you get through it, or what do you wish someone had said or done for you? Share your story in the comments below. You never know who might read it and feel a little less alone because of your words. 2. Emotional resilience is a muscle you can build. You know what's amazing? The smallest action can shift the entire course of a day. Mark didn't start by reinventing his life overnight. He didn't suddenly become a social butterfly or pick up 10 new hobbies. No. He started with one thing, a walk. A slow, quiet walk around the block. Then he waved to a neighbor. The next day, he stopped to chat. That's what I like to call emotional mobilization. It's when you go from just surviving the silence to quietly pushing back against it. And honestly, that's where the healing begins. Not in some big, dramatic moment, but in these tiny shifts. Moments that say, I'm still here. I still count. I still care. What Mark was doing, even if he didn't realize it, was building emotional resilience, and the best part, that's something anyone can develop, no matter how old you are. Think of resilience like a muscle. It gets stronger the more you use it. You might feel shaky at first, even a little awkward. That's normal. After all, it takes guts to re-enter a world that feels like it moved on without you. But with every small act, every conversation, every class you attend, every good morning you offer at the coffee shop, you're reinforcing your sense of connection. You're proving to yourself that you can feel seen again. And the science backs it up. The Harvard study of adult development, which has followed participants for over 80 years, found one consistent truth: strong social bonds are the biggest predictor of happiness and health in later life. Not wealth. Not fame. Not even your physical fitness. It's relationships, the people you feel close to, the ones you trust, the ones who check in on you when it's raining outside. And here's something important. Connection doesn't have to mean family. For many people, especially those whose children live far away or who've lost their spouses, family becomes the people they choose. That could be a church group, a weekly card game, a neighbor you chat with while watering your plants, or the friend you call on tough days. Some of the most joyful older adults I've met weren't surrounded by a big family, they were surrounded by presence. A few good people who made them feel heard, valued, and loved. So ask yourself this. What's one small thing you could do this week to stretch your resilience muscle? Is it a phone call? A visit to the local center? Or just sitting on the porch and saying hello to someone passing by? And I'd love to know, have you found ways to build connection in unexpected places? Drop a comment and share your experience. You never know how much your story could inspire someone else to take that first step. 3. Creating a plan for the inevitable. Now here's something a lot of folks don't like to talk about, but it's one of the most loving things you can do for yourself and the people around you. Planning for the inevitable. Look, growing older doesn't mean giving up control, it means shifting how you hold it. Aging with grace isn't about pretending tough things won't happen. It's about being ready for them, so when life throws a curveball, you're not caught off guard. You're prepared. You're steady. That's exactly what Mark did. Once he got more comfortable opening up, he started having some real conversations, like the kind where you sit down with coffee and talk about what happens next. He and his neighbors started swapping ideas, talking about finances, housing, even who'd make medical decisions if either of them couldn't speak for themselves. That, right there, is proactive aging. It's not dramatic. It's not about fearing the worst. It's about making thoughtful choices now, so you can live with more freedom later. Let's break this down a bit. First, there's financial health. You don't need to be rich, but you do need to know where you stand. Can your savings support the kind of life you want? Do you need to budget for in-home help down the line? A quick chat with a financial advisor, even just once, can make a world of difference. Don't let fear or pride keep you from asking those questions. Then there's where you live. Is your home still working for you? Maybe the stairs are starting to feel like mountains. Maybe it's just too quiet. That doesn't mean you have to give up your independence. There are so many options now: downsizing to a cozy apartment, exploring senior communities where neighbors actually talk to each other, or even sharing a home with a friend. Yes, home sharing is making a comeback, and it's kind of beautiful. And finally, there's healthcare planning. This one gets overlooked way too often. Have you picked a healthcare proxy? Written down your wishes? These conversations might feel heavy, but they bring so much peace of mind for you and for those who care about you. You're giving everyone a gift by making your intentions clear. In therapy, there's a saying I use often: hope is not a plan. Hope is beautiful, don't get me wrong. But when it comes to aging well, hope paired with a solid plan. That's power. That's peace. That's knowing you've still got a say in how your life unfolds. So now I want to hear from you. Have you started putting any plans in place for your future? Or maybe you've seen someone close to you handle aging in a way that really inspired you. Drop a comment below and share your thoughts. This is a safe space, and your story might be the nudge someone else needs to take that first step. 4. Companionship beyond romance, opening the heart again. Now let's talk about something that often goes unspoken, but lives deep in the hearts of many older adults. Companionship after loss. Mark, like so many others, never imagined he'd open his heart again. After decades of love, laughter, and shared memories with his late wife, the idea of being close to someone else felt wrong. He told himself it would be a betrayal. That even thinking about companionship meant he was somehow dishonoring her memory. But here's what I believe, and what I've seen over and over again: love isn't a pie. Giving some to someone new doesn't mean there's less left for the person you lost. Grief and love can live side by side. In fact, sometimes grief opens new spaces in the heart, and those spaces aren't meant to stay empty forever. I remember a woman named Elaine, 83 years old, sharp as ever. She'd lost her husband 10 years earlier and swore she'd never even think about dating again. Then she met Harold at a watercolor class. They started carpooling. Then they were grabbing lunch. Before long, they were holding hands during community concerts at the park. She once told me, Harold doesn't replace Tom, he just sits beside the memory of him. And she said that with the biggest, softest smile. And research backs this up. A 2020 study from the Journals of Gerontology found that older adults in new romantic relationships reported better mental health, lower levels of depression, and greater life satisfaction, regardless of whether they actually got married again. The benefits weren't about legal titles. They were about connection. Comfort. A shared cup of tea. Someone to say, good morning, and mean it. So let's stop pretending that growing older means closing off our hearts. Whether it's romance, deep friendship, or simply finding your person later in life, connection is still a basic human need. And it doesn't have an expiration date. Maybe you're not looking for anything right now. That's okay. But don't close the door so tightly that no light can sneak back in. You deserve warmth. You deserve to feel seen. And if someone comes along who brings a little more joy into your days, that's not betrayal, it's bravery. So let me ask you something. Have you, or someone you know, ever found love or companionship later in life? Or maybe you're still on the fence about it. Drop a comment below. Let's talk about it without judgment. Your story might be exactly what someone else needs to hear today. 5. Grief, growth, and finding purpose after loss. Let's take a breath and talk about one of the hardest, but also most beautiful, parts of growing older: grief. When Linda passed away, Mark found himself in a space he never imagined revisiting. It was a different kind of pain, layered on top of everything he'd already been through. But this time, something inside him shifted. Instead of closing off, he opened up. He started checking in on a new resident at his care home. Just simple things, sitting with them during meals, asking if they needed help finding the laundry room, offering a little conversation during afternoon walks. Nothing grand. But those tiny moments? They mattered. To the other person, yes, but also to him. That's when I believe he crossed into what psychologist Erik Erikson called the final stage of psychosocial development: generativity. It's this deep, human urge to give back, to nurture others, to feel that even as chapters close, your story still shapes the world around you. And let me tell you something I've seen over and over again: this shift from grief to growth is where real healing happens. When we turn our sorrow into service, when we take our lived experience and say, maybe I can use this to help someone else, something incredible happens. We reconnect with purpose. We stop asking, what have I lost, and begin asking, what can I give? In therapy, I often encourage people to write legacy letters, notes to their children, grandchildren, or even their future selves. Not just about where you've been, but what you've learned. What mattered. What you hope lives on. Some folks find comfort in mentoring younger neighbors, starting a book club, volunteering at the library, or even just baking cookies for the staff at their residence. And here's the thing: you don't need to save the world. You just need to show up in your own way, with your own story and your own kind of kindness. One of my favorite quotes is from Viktor Frankl, a Holocaust survivor and psychiatrist, who said, "Those who have a why to live can bear almost any how." So let me ask you, what's your why right now? Have you found purpose in helping someone else after loss? Or maybe you're searching for that next meaningful step. Share your thoughts in the comments. You never know, your journey might light the path for someone else who's still sitting in the dark. Conclusion: how to begin again, even now. So here we are, at the end of this conversation, but maybe just the beginning of something new for you. If you've stuck with us through Mark's story, and all the ups and downs we've explored, I want to take a quiet moment to say, thank you. Seriously. Thank you for giving this space your time and attention. That tells me something important, that deep down, you care. About yourself, your future, and maybe even about others walking a similar path. Now, if there's one thing I hope you take away from this, it's this. You're not done. Not by a long shot. Even if the house feels too quiet. Even if the phone hasn't rung in a while. Even if you've lost more than you ever imagined possible, there's still a spark in you. A light. And that light? It doesn't go out just because the world around you grows dim. Let's go over the big things we talked about, because they matter. First, grief is real. It's messy, it doesn't follow a calendar, and it can hit you in waves when you least expect it. But it's also a sign of how deeply you've loved, and that love doesn't disappear. It transforms. Second, connection doesn't just happen, you build it. A wave to the mail carrier. A short chat with someone at the library. Joining a walking group, or starting a monthly potluck in your building. These things may feel small, but they stack up. They create momentum. And eventually, they build a life that feels full again. Third, planning ahead isn't being negative, it's being empowered. When you take time to organize your finances, clarify your healthcare wishes, or figure out the best living situation for your future self, you're actually giving yourself a gift: peace of mind. Fourth, companionship in later life is not a betrayal of your past, it's a tribute to the love you've known. It says, I've lived, and I still choose to live fully. And that takes guts. Big, beautiful, human guts. And finally, you have something to give. Whether it's your wisdom, your kindness, your humor, or your presence, you matter. And when you offer that to someone else, something inside you heals in return. Aging, in many ways, is an act of bravery. It's continuing to show up, day after day, even when it hurts. Even when the world gets quieter. Even when you're not sure anyone notices. But we notice. This community here at Natural Healing Hub, we see you. And we believe in what's still possible. So here's your gentle call to action. If something in this video resonated with you, leave a comment below. Share a piece of your story, or just let us know you're out there. Your words could be the exact encouragement someone else needs to hear today. And if you think this video might help someone you care about, a neighbor, a friend, a parent, or even a colleague, go ahead and share it. Let's keep the conversation going. Because just like Linda said before she passed, and I truly believe this with all my heart, live well. Not someday. Now. Because this moment, it still belongs to you. And it always will.